called Dagon. Dagon was half fish, half man. So now these guys, these Assyrians, are there on the beach. Suddenly a fish, a whale, barfs out a man. They go, daggone it. My goodness. And this guy comes out. Dagon comes out. Pardon me, Jonah comes out. Because he was in the whale, listen to me, because the whale, the bleach from the gastric juices of the whale would have caused his clothes to be eaten away, his hair to disappear, his skin to be made white like an albino. So now the Assyrians see a hairless, naked albino coming out of a fish saying, judgment in 40 days, judgment in 40 days, judgment. And it says they repented, the whole city, the greatest revival in world history. What's the point? Simply this. Some of you guys feel like, I'm such a jerk. I'm such a rebel. I'm in the dark. Nothing's happening. I can't see a thing. I can't even think straight. I'm getting slapped around. I'm in the pits, and I ought to be because I'm such an idiot. Listen to me. Hey, when you are faithless, God is faithful. The whale is moving even as you're sitting today. The whale is moving. God is at work. You're going to be barfed out real soon. And you're going to find yourself on the beach where you can make the most impact, be the biggest blessing. Ask Paul, he's on the beach in our story. Ask Jonah, he was barfed out after 3 days, you see. The same thing's true. The whale is moving. That's why the Lord allows the storm to come, as Jonah found, as we see in Paul's situation. I know some of you are in storms right now, and you feel like you're in the dark, and nothing's unfolding, and nothing's working out, and nothing's taking place. Hey, the whale is moving. It's going to happen. You watch, you wait, you'll see. Number 3, not just, hey, the Lord allows the snake to strike, the storm to come, the fire to burn because of observation. The barbarians are watching. Let them see you, shake it off. They'll change their minds about why you do what you do. Number 2, destination. There's someplace the Lord is taking me, taking you. That's why the storm is allowed to come our way. Something we didn't think about, where we can let the light shine brighter than it's ever shined previously. Hey. Number 3, identification. It's true, A.W. Tozer said, before God can use a man greatly, he must allow him to be hurt deeply. Why is that? Because people don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. And you can't care, I won't care, we don't care unless and until we've been there. Been where? Where people are. They're on the island of Malta, had been bitten by those snakes. They saw neighbors and family members die. They saw those snakes strike others and break the hearts in the community. And you can't have compassion on people. Well, Paul puts it this way, blessed be the Father of mercy, the God of all comfort, who comforts us in our trials, that we may be able to comfort others with the comfort that we ourselves have received. 2 Corinthians chapter 1, Paul says, blessed be the God of comfort who comforts us, that we might not be comfortable, but comforters. I can't be a comforter unless I'm comforted. And I can't be comforted unless I'm uncomfortable. See, I've got to be bit by the same snakes that bite other people. So do you. We can't identify with them unless we've been hurt like them, hit as they've been hit, you see. People don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. And you can't really care until you've been there. And so there I am in Denver. And they're waiting to board on my plane to go back to Oregon. It was late Saturday evening. The guy behind the podium called me up, Mr. Courson. I came up. He said to me, I'm sorry, but we've oversold the flight. And so we're going to put you on the next morning's flight, and we'll pay for your ticket and give you some money. I said, I can't do that. I've got 5 services to preach tomorrow morning. I've got to get back to my church. I'm a pastor. I need to get there. Hey, I got to get back tonight. He said, well, let me see. And he looked at his roster and he said, okay, I can put you in first class. Will that be okay? I said, that'll work. So I got to go into the first class section of that big 747 Continental Airline. Real leather chairs, free headphones, slippers, and food that you could actually eat. I mean, it was amazing. First class, hey, I was so thrilled. And beside that, the seat next to me was free. So I'm there. The door is about to close as we're going to start our taxiing down the runway. And I'm going, Lord, I'm blessed. I can't. This is so great. But then it happened. Right before the door closed, she got on. I'm not trying to be politically incorrect here. It's germane to the story. She got on. And I saw her coming, and I thought, turn right towards coach. Right, turn right. But she didn't. She looked left where first class was, and she made her way in my direction. And there was the only other empty seat in the plane right there next to me. And it's true. She said, that's my seat. I said, okay. I'm not being cruel. It's germane to the story. She was the biggest lady I had ever seen. We're talking planetary. We're talking she had her own zip code. We're talking, I mean, I'm not kidding. I'm not talking 100 or 200 pounds or 300 pounds overweight. I'm talking she was global. I mean, it was like she was giant. And she gets in, and now I realized why the seat that I was in had been empty. It really did. It took two seats for her. That's why it was kept for her, you see, but they put me in that seat. So she's there and I'm there, and I'm squished now totally against the window, and she's halfway in the aisle and halfway in my seat, and it's just like all over the place. And so I'm sitting there like this, and we go up, and as we're now up in the air, she turns to me and she says, tell me, are you married? And I said, well, as a matter of fact, as I opened up my leather backpack and took out this picture album, and I said, yeah, here's my wife, Tammy Tambo, and here's Peter John, and here's Jessie Lee, and here's Christy Ann, and here's Mary Elizabeth, and here's Benjamin Barrett, and my dog Sam, and I'm showing her these pictures, and then I look up at her, and I see this big tear running down her very ample cheek. And I say, Diane, Diane we had introduced, she was in my seat anyway. Diane, I said, I've offended you, I'm sorry. And she said, oh, it's not that. She goes, you're just so lucky. She goes, you have those 5 kids and that beautiful wife, and all I've ever wanted, she said, all I've ever wanted is to be married and to be a mother. I would be a great mother. I'm intelligent, I'm artistic, I'm creative, I'm fun, she says. I've got so much to offer, but she goes, as you probably noticed, I'm a little bit large. Now, what do you say? I just said, oh, and and Diane said, she said, so nobody's going to marry me, and I just could be such a great mother. I know I would be the best mother. And she was crying. She goes, and 2 years ago, she said, a man came into my life that could see that, and he offered to marry me. He could see through this and offered to marry me. And she said, the night before our wedding, I was driving to church for the rehearsal, and I saw his car wrapped around a telephone pole. And they were taking him out right as I drove by, and he died that night. And she said, forgive me for putting that on to you. I don't mean to burden you. I'm sorry about that. And I said, Diane, I said, I thank you for sharing that, because I do kind of understand. I told her how that there on that Monday morning when I took my bride to go skiing, we made our way up the highway to go to Mount Bachelor, ironically. And it was before the break of day. Nobody else was on the road, and I was winding my way towards Mount Bachelor to take my wife skiing with me. And I told her a joke, and we were laughing, and then my car hit some ice and spun around and hit a redwood tree. And I said to Diane, the next thing I remember was I was crawling on my hands and knees down the highway about 100 yards away when finally a car did finally come by, stopped. And the next thing I remember, I was in the back of an ambulance. And I woke up and I looked at the guy that was sticking me and tending me, the paramedic there. And I said, tell me, how's my wife? And he said, fine. And I said, no, she's not. And then I said, yes, she is, because she's in heaven. And he looked at me. I'll never forget that look as long as I live. He wasn't supposed to tell me, but he made a choice to do so anyway. He said, you're right, she's no longer with us. And right then, in that ambulance, on my way down from the mountains, the Lord spoke in a way. I was in my late 20s, and the Lord spoke to me in a way that I believe was audible. I don't know, but it seemed to me to be audible. The Lord said, I know the thoughts I think towards you, thoughts of peace and not of evil, to give you a future and a hope. I didn't know that was a Bible verse. Now there are posters and books and songs, but this was years ago. I didn't know that was a scripture. It was spoken in a way that, hey, I still to this day believe it was audible. I don't know. I got into the hospital room and I came to again. My mom was there, and one other guy, a friend, and my assisting pastor, Rick Vesney. And we were there. And I woke up and I said, the Lord spoke to me. I was in that, he spoke to me. He said, I know the thoughts I think towards you, thoughts of peace and not of evil, to give you a future and a hope. Right then, as I told that to those three that were in the room with me, the telephone rang, right then. They put the call through because it was Pastor Chuck Smith. And Chuck said, John, we just heard the news. And the Lord would have you to know, I know the thoughts I think towards you, thoughts of peace and not of evil, to give you a future and a hope. And my mouth just dropped open. I said, Chuck, I just heard that in the ambulance. I just told that to the guys with me in the room. My mom, is that a Bible verse? He said, yeah, it's Jeremiah chapter 29, verse 11. And those with me were just, I was amazed as we just talked about that phrase, and now Chuck was calling it in, and I'm telling Diane this, and I said, Diane, that's precisely what happened. I said, I took my kids away the next day to get them out of the area. Peter was 5, just turned 5. Jesse was 2. Christy was 1. And I took them over to the coast. And we were camping there. And I took the kids, the 2 older ones, Peter, who was 5, Jesse, who was 2, almost 3, walked them along the beach, sat on a log there, and I said, you guys, Mommy's not going to be with us for a while because Mommy's in heaven. Peter, who now pastors the fellowship, said, really? Can she fly? Can she see us? What's she doing, Daddy? And Jesse, 2, almost 3, whose eyes were as big as saucers, just looked up at me and said, oh no, oh no, oh no, oh no. And these tears just rolled down her face, and I held her in my embrace. And I spent some time, some days, 2, 3 days there with the kids, 3 days, and then I came back again. I was going to address the church the next day. And that night I got back, it was late at night. It was about midnight. Next morning, Sunday, I was going to be teaching and sharing. And as I sat there, I thought, oh my. The kids were in the house. I hadn't changed the girls' diapers in about 3 days. Everything was stacked up. I put Peter and Jesse in the tub and got them tucked away, and then took care of Christy and tucked her in too. Went out on the couch and just cried. Why? Why? Not why, but Lord, why? I just broke down. I was going to preach the next day, that first Sunday after the Lord took Terry home. And the Lord spoke to me again. The Lord said, Johnny, he calls me Johnny. He said, Johnny, I've promised you a peace that passes understanding. Have I given that to you? And I said, yes, Lord, in these days, this week, you've given me